because I have the most expensive Pokemon card around my neck, and
yeah, let's see it.
Superman. Oh my God. Be one of them.
What if the biggest trading card sale in history was built on a promise that was never fully kept? $16.5 million. One piece of cardboard, and the further you pull on this thread, the more it unravels. This isn't really a Logan Paul story. It's a story about what happens when spectacle becomes strategy. When hype and blockchain and record-breaking moments share the same room with a quiet group of people who believe they own something, and then, slowly, had to reckon with the possibility that they didn't.
He's a film director, and we have been fans of Pokemon since we were kids. Oh my God. This was the right way to start the treasure hunt.
You just starting?
I just started it, baby.
Oh. Not in the way they were led to imagine. So let's go back. Because that's where the first fracture formed. Around 2022, Logan Paul didn't just dip his toes into the Pokemon card world, he cannonballed in. Every purchase was an event, every rare pull was a moment. He wasn't collecting quietly in a room somewhere, he was performing the act of collecting for millions of eyes. And then he got scammed. Publicly. Loudly. Messily. And for someone built the way Logan is, chaos isn't a setback, it's content, it's fuel.
What is up, collector? Rip It is coming soon, and you're gonna want to be first in line. So we're growing our wait list for users to get early access and to give back to the day one collectors who help us grow this thing. Top referrers will climb the leaderboard to get rewarded with things like the holographic pull from this first edition heavy pack, a $30,000 base set unlimited box, and a PSA 9 first edition Lugia valued at roughly...
But here's what everyone missed in the noise of that moment. While the internet was busy reacting, Logan was quietly building something else. Something called Liquid Marketplace. And that's where this story stops being about cards and starts being about something much harder to hold on to.
Now you can just buy a token on Liquid Marketplace to own high value, top tier assets that you cannot get anywhere else.
The pitch was sleek. Fractional ownership of real-world collectibles, trading cards, sports memorabilia, all of it backed by blockchain. All of it framed as modern, secure, transparent, the kind of thing that sounds almost too good, and yet convincing enough that people leaned in. But the real hook, the crown jewel they dangled at the center of everything, 51% of a PSA 10 Pikachu Illustrator card, one of the rarest Pokemon cards ever graded.
Have a high-profile item, an expensive item such as the PSA 10 Illustrator that was a 9 several times before it got a 10. That is not the case, even though this thing clearly is not a 10.
Collectors didn't just react, they felt something. The sense that they were being offered a seat at a table that had always been closed to them. A piece of history, a piece of something. And maybe they were, just not the piece they thought they were buying. A few years later, Liquid Marketplace had gone dark. Legal trouble had surfaced. The platform collapsed without ceremony, and Logan, the man whose name, face, and energy had been woven into every inch of the launch, began speaking about it like it was something he'd seen from a distance. Like he was a spectator, not the architect. That shift in tone hit differently. Because this wasn't a side project, this was his name on it. His energy driving it, his audience being invited in, and now there was distance? That's when the community stopped nodding along and started asking harder questions. Then came the announcement that poured gasoline on everything. Logan revealed he was partnering with Ken Golden, the face of Netflix's King of Collectibles, to auction off that very Pikachu Illustrator card.
Current bid on the Illustrator, $12 million.
No way! No way! No way! What?
The same one, the one that had been the emotional center of Liquid Marketplace. The one people thought they partially owned. The reaction wasn't just loud, it was wounded. Because under this new arrangement, Logan stood to receive a large upfront payment plus a cut of the final sale price. And the people watching, the ones who had bought in years earlier, were asking the same question out loud, in comment sections, in forums, in direct replies. What about us?
This is bigger than the card. It's bigger than me. I don't even understand what's happening right now, but it's surreal, dude.
I think this is a great first acquisition for that treasure.
I fucking agree, my man.
Oh my God.
I agree, dude.
You're a gangster.
That's when voices like Rattle Pokemon entered the frame, and they weren't just questioning the ethics of the sale. They were questioning the card itself, arguing the PSA 10 grade might not have been legitimate, pointing to visible surface flaws, raising the possibility that the card had been resubmitted until it finally got the score it needed. If that's even partially true, the entire foundation of this story gets shakier. A card that may not be a true 10, offered as fractional ownership, now being sold for a world record.
Logan, you get it.
Ken Golden,
Yes.
tonight you sold the PSA 10 Pikachu Illustrator card for $16,492,000. On behalf of Guinness World Records, I can now confirm you have achieved a new record title for not only for the most expensive Pokemon card ever sold at auction, but also the overall record for the most expensive trading card ever sold at auction.
The internet connected those dots fast. And here's where things got really telling. Every time someone raised the uncomfortable questions about the investors, about the promises, about what people had actually been told they were buying, they got blocked instantly. No response, no acknowledgement, just silence. One deleted post captured everything without trying to. Logan had written something dramatic about the card, a farewell, full of words like legacy and generational and record. Someone replied simply, reminding him that liquid marketplace investors once co-owned that very card. They got blocked. That single moment said more than any statement could have. Meanwhile, the promotional machine ran at full speed. Countdowns, flashy content, high-energy builds, the kind of rollout Logan has spent a decade mastering. And here's the thing, the controversy didn't slow it down. The controversy became part of the content. Every critical post, every heated thread, every question that went unanswered fed the algorithm and widened the audience. He understands this better than almost anyone alive right now. But what wasn't being discussed loudly enough was this. The money people had put into...
Current bid on the Illustrator, $12 million.
No way! No way! No way! What? No way! No way, bro! No way! No way, bro!
One more bid's new record all time. $12.5 million.
No way, bro! Ken's whole team. I think they did it.
We now have the record. The most expensive trading card of all time. $13 million.
Liquid Marketplace wasn't sitting safe in a drawer somewhere while all of this was unfolding. It was locked, unavailable, during real time, in real life, when people face rent and emergencies and moments where that capital could have actually mattered. All of that happening quietly, invisibly, while the celebration was being planned. Then the auction happened, and the number that came across the screen made people stop mid-scroll. 12 million, 13, and then $16.5 million. A new world record, not just for Pokemon, for any trading card ever sold. It surpassed records tied to Kobe Bryant. The room looked like a movie premiere. Champagne, confetti, Ken Golden holding a Guinness World Records plaque like they'd just returned from the moon. And Logan, visibly stunned, kept repeating the same two words, no way. But after all of it, after the plaques and the celebration and the buyer showing up in a Pokemon onesie, the people who believed they owned 51% of that card were being told a very different number. Only 5.4% of the card had ever actually been sold through the platform. Not 51, 5.4. That translated to roughly $270,000 raised back in 2022, and in May 2024, Logan said he bought that stake back at the original purchase price, in line with the platform's original terms. Legally, that might hold up just fine, but the internet wasn't ready to call it clean, because that same card just sold for $16.5 million, and the people who helped give this project its early energy, its early credibility, its early belief, they got back exactly what they put in. Not a dollar more. While the champagne was still dripping off the ceiling, was he required to share those gains? By the contract, maybe not. But should he have? That's where the conversation fractures, and where it gets genuinely uncomfortably real. And then, almost before the confetti had settled, Logan announced something new. A fresh platform, new structure, pack openings tied to graded physical cards, vault storage, instant cash-out options, a referral leaderboard. The more people you bring in, the higher you climb, the bigger the rewards. Take a breath. This wasn't about the card. Same blueprint, new skin, hype, collapse, relaunch, repeat. Investors got access, not closure. Records were broken, questions weren't. Was it ever real, or just the cycle?